Yet another red day for Muln Automotive. Should David Michery get a pay cut for this? Hi again, everyone. I hope you're all doing really well. So Monday was another red day for Muln Automotive, with the stock dropping by over 10% on the day. Wasn't totally surprising to see another bit of a sell-off in the stock, considering that it was actually the official dilution event from the Christus capital raising, with another $45 million in securities technically being issued on the day. So obviously a fair bit of this would have been factored in or priced in last week, and helped push the stock down last week, but it was just interesting to see how much more it was going to fall on Monday. There was a bit of rumor news going around about Lawrence Hodge and Muln Automotive finally coming to an agreement. I thought that might actually stem the flow of red for the stock. Maybe it did. You can really never say like how far or how much of an effect these things do have on the stock price, but yeah, it was obviously another red day. The shorts really had a feeding frenzy. The short interest is still quite high. Like any other stock, if there was positive developments coming, we'd be looking at something which is like ripe for a bit of a short squeeze at the moment. However, there's not enough positive momentum for the stock at the moment. One thing in regards to the shorts is that they will now be on, for the stock will now be on the short seller restricted list on Tuesday, because the stock fell on more than 10%. Whether or not that's going to have any bearing on where the stock's going longer term is anyone's guess. Now, another story that's kind of popped up a bit over the weekend and was the whole story around whether or not David Michery's being paid too much for a company that's performing really poorly. Now, CEO pay is obviously, an interesting one. For a public company, it has to be disclosed. It's a legal requirement. But generally it's attached to, obviously how well the business meets certain KPIs, and, the board would meet with David and set, goals that he has to adhere to, and then his compensation package will be based around that. So obviously there is always the base salary that he's going to get. He's not going to get paid nothing for what he does, but depending on how Mullen goes in terms of meeting KPIs is where he's going to receive his compensation from. Now, obviously one of the big KPIs that is looked at is stock performance, but given what stage Mullen is at right now as a company, it's probably not the biggest one that the board is concerned with in terms of his compensation. Obviously, he's helped navigate some issues with the delisting threat, but obviously we're on again now that we're back under $1. But that might not be a huge consideration for his package in terms of how he's compensated. Obviously, as you're getting ready to ramp up production, and things getting online. So what his pay is going to be based on is like how well the company's able to meet probably like deadlines and output quotas this year. So it's a tough one. So even though the share price isn't going so well, you have to look at operationally how the company's going as well, because that's that'll be like probably the biggest consideration for how they determine his salary. So whether or not I think he gets a fair salary or not, I do not know. That's up for anyone's debate. CEOs can get paid very small amounts, they can get paid very exorbitant amounts. So really anyone's going to have a different opinion on whether or not he's being compensated too much or not. I suppose in a time where, everyone's feeling a bit of a pinch from high inflation, stuff like that, when you see, CEOs making large amounts of money, and if you're invested in the company too, it hurts particularly more because your investment is suffering, but yet he's getting this like fat compensation package. That obviously can hurt, and that's like a storied thing throughout the history of public companies, that you hear about corporate bigwigs making big money while shareholders or customers are suffering. You only have to look back to the GFC 2008, all the bankers who got those huge bonuses after everything that happened there went on. However, I guess one of the things which is a little bit more worrying about David Michery is the fact that he has actually sold off a lot of his stock-based compensation that he has received. And that's, never a good sign for a company if your own CEO is selling off the stocks that they're issued. Now, obviously, part of that is he needs to like fund whatever it is he does in his life. When you get to being that CEO level, you often have like, not everyone, but you often have, let's say, a more expensive lifestyle than the average schmo like you and me. Or maybe some of you have a really good lifestyle. Maybe I have a really good lifestyle too. Who knows? Anyway, but yeah, so, obviously he sells it off, but that's never a good look for the company. You can look at the really high profile case of Elon Musk selling Tesla stock to buy Twitter. Obviously that was, that had a very negative effect on Tesla stock price at the time. There's been a bit of a bounce back since then. But yeah, it's still not a good look. It doesn't give confidence to the shareholder base. So now in terms of where the company's going on Tuesday, anyone's guess really. There's still the possibility it's going to go down, even though the short seller restricted list is enacted. I don't think it's necessarily going to do anything to stabilize Muln Automotive. All they need really is they need positive catalysts, meaningful positive catalysts. We talked about like the EMM technology deal with Marion perhaps taking another step forward this week. I don't think that's going to be what's going to propel the company. It's going to come from something like production update, or perhaps even like a further sales announcements or something. So until something positive like that comes out, I think the stock's going to be really sort of bogged down. It needs some really meaningful positive company developments to reverse the trend. My investment in the stock's down heavily. I only bought in earlier this year. I kind of thought like, well, how much further it's going to fall down, and really seen how much further it's going to fall down. But there's always that temptation there to buy back in and dollar cost average your way down a bit. But I'm not encouraging anyone to do that. I don't even know if I'm going to do that yet or not. I'm still on the fence whether or not I've made the right decision jumping into Mullen or not this year. It definitely hasn't been one of my better investment choices, that's for sure. But I'm obviously waiting around for a longer term. I just think there's a lot of potential there for the long term. I'm invested in it. I'm not here just for a quick day trading. I do day trading, and not as much anymore. Like, it's kind of just got burnt your fingers too much on the mouse. Anyway, let me know where you guys think it's all going. Is Mullen going to be able to bounce back this week, or are you just foreseeing another slow dragging week where the stock's going to come down further in the red, and just there's nothing really good happening at the moment? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Till next time, everyone, may the markets trade in your favor. Cheers.